Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about the heart. We're talking about the Chestahedron geometry in regards to the heart. So we're going to be talking about Frank Chester as well, who is the guy that brought forth the geometry of the Chestahedron to humanity. And one thing we must understand is that we're all being channeled. It doesn't matter whether we're somebody that is an intuitive healer or does this for a job, or we are at all levels being channeled through by consciousness. Okay? Obviously, the first thing we want to make sure is it's our own consciousness that's channeling through the physical body, which we call an interface. Okay? And so when it comes to somebody bringing through this information that perhaps humanity needs at this time, it was very interesting in regards to what he brought through, Frank Chester, in regards to this new geometry. So what I'm initially going to talk about is geometry in itself, and then we'll get into the heart and so on, and the Chestahedron in a bit more depth. But because I've been watching a lot about Frank Chester again, and I always say that the Chestahedron geometry is close to my heart. You can see that in the background there, just over my shoulder, Chestahedron. And I've kind of rediscovered that geometry again. And the thing about this geometry, it was facilitated through very recently, okay? And when we look back in our history, we see a lot in regards to things like the flower of life, the seed of life, pyramids, right? You know, we talk about pyramids, thousands of years there's been pyramids all over the world, okay, including Egypt, but many others, Bosnian pyramids and so on. But this geometry Chestahedron was not found anywhere else. And usually information is channeled through it at this level for a reason. I really believe that, for a reason. And I think it's when we got to learn about what the Chestahedron is, and Frank Chester always used to say this, people would go to him, how do you know this? How did you find this information? He goes, well, the Chestahedron told me. The geometry is consciousness. It has consciousness to it. So therefore, it will tell you stuff. It will communicate with you. I know that sounds crazy for people that aren't energy healers or don't use geometry. But his teacher, because bringing through something completely new. There was no teacher, no mentor for Frank Chester. The mentor, the teacher, was the geometry itself, the Chestahedron. Now, what I'm trying to say in regards to connection to the pyramids and all these other geometries, like the circle of life, the flower of life, seed of life, is that maybe those geometries had their time. But with Ascension's about letting go of the old and bring in the new. And perhaps Chestahedron is the new. Not only the Chestahedron, but other geometries that come through. Because what I do see a lot in regards to people that meditate under pyramids, or that they create chambers that are under pyramids, that's cool. Pyramids are awesome. I've used pyramids. And a lot of people even say the Chestahedron's a pyramid. No, it's not. It's not a pyramid. It brings through different energy and different consciousness to a pyramid. Now, maybe it's time to let go of the pyramid and to move forward with new geometries, because we've got the whole thing I keep being told about the heart and being heart-centered is about being more present or living more in the now. So if we're resorting to geometries from the past, how is that allowing us to be in the now and to evolve using the now to our new future? So I've been really rediscovering the capabilities of the Chestahedron, and we're going to talk about it in this video. Not only is just that geometry there and sitting under it, but using it in a different way, and we're going to talk about that. I've been getting a lot of information that connects back with the Chestahedron, and the fact that also we need more love in the world, right? And our heart, our human heart, sits in the geometry of a Chestahedron. Okay? So it facilitates love. And the consciousness, as I say, geometry has consciousness that can talk to you and speak to you. The consciousness that facilitates through that Chestahedron is very much the one that sustains our consciousness. Love. Love. Okay? So I find that very interesting as well. So I really think this geometry is all about now. There's no doubt about it. The Merkaba, which I guess you could call as two pyramids, one pointing down, one pointing up, which is a three-sided pyramid, still has a place for sure. It's the geometry of consciousness, but there's something special about this Chestahedron here. So let's get into it. So what I got told today was the facets of duality. Now, the facets of duality, what are they? The facets of duality are conflict, which happens from two polar opposites, right? Duality. And what do we see? What have we seen in the world for so long? It's just been ridiculous. Conflict, right? Everywhere. Karma. And I've talked about karma before. Karma is another mechanism of you getting the lesson, learning the lesson. Do you know where the original channel for intuition, for you to learn a lesson? Through the heart. Through the heart. Now, karma is needed. You know when people go, oh, this keeps, I keep getting bad luck. Oh, this keeps happening to me. Well, that's karma. Because you're not sitting in here. You're not listening to your heart. You're up here. Okay, so if our consciousness is sitting up here, that gets shut off. What's the way to get a message through? Karma. So when your consciousness sits in the heart area, in the sacred heart area, then we don't need karma. So to move out of duality, we need the heart. We need to be here. And I'm going to talk a bit more about how more complex it gets into. Simple, but learning a bit more about it. Now, another aspect or facet of duality, so far we've got conflict, we've got karma, is the collective consciousness. Now, the collective, we call it the collective consciousness, but it's really a hive mind, it's a collective mind. Because our problem is being with duality, sitting up here and not being in here. Okay? When we go here, we go within. When we go here, we go outwards. We always think that the answers are out there. No, they're not. They're here. They're inwards. Okay? There's a gateway or a pathway within you through the heart that way, not that way. Okay? So when we think, oh, we've got to save the world out there, no, we need to save ourselves first, then we can save the world. Okay, so the collective consciousness is another facet of duality. Now, the last one is the soul. Why the soul? Now, the soul is limited, and the soul is purely a recycling mechanism. And so far, we've been recycled within the trap, and the trap itself is the soul. Okay, where we've been controlled and limited to a short lifespan where we don't get enough time to figure out who we are, why we're here, and get enough wisdom to know what our reality really is. And then all of a sudden we're out of the reality, and then we get recycled back in from the start again, from scratch. We may feel something's not right and something doesn't sit right because those memories of our past lives are still there, but we can't put the dots together. What does that create? More conflict, right? Another facet of duality. Okay? So what it said was facets of duality ascend you towards abuse, fear. Okay? And that is mind-orientated, all mind-orientated. While connecting to the Ascension gateway, which is this gateway within, through the heart, ascends you towards love, which is heart-centered. Okay? So you might be getting a bit of a picture here. Get rid of that, get into here. And it's not out there, it's in here. Okay? Now, one thing Frank Chester always said was that we incarnate through the heart. Through the heart, wow. He showed this there's a temple in Egypt, Temple of Hathor. And there was this Princess Newt, okay? And it's got this princess where she's like that, and her arms go down, and her head's down here, and her body's here, and her legs are on the other side. Now, from her womb area, well, what they say in regards to the story is that Princess Newt swallows the moon, gives birth to the sun. What's the sun? A gateway. Then, from her womb, these are all these bells coming from her womb down into this cube, okay? What we do know about a cube is cube is a source of energy, okay? Okay. Now, the cube's not bad, okay? It depends on the intent with the cube. So when we see the black cube, that symbolizes negative or bad intent using the cube, using that source of energy. So cubes are not bad. The geometry of the cube's not bad. It's got a bad rap. No, it's the intent to use it, and that's like for any other geometry. You can use the intent to amplify something good or something bad. You have that choice. Anyway, so what does that mean? You know, the bells coming from the womb into that cube. Well, the bells symbolize human hearts incarnate. That's human hearts are incarnating into this reality. Because do you know what we do when we rotate? Again, this is this power of the Chestahedron I was going to tell you about. When you rotate the Chestahedron, what does it create? The geometry of the bell. Geometry of the bell. Okay, and the geometry of the bell is anti-gravity and levitational. Ascending, levity, okay? So those bells that are coming from her womb into this reality, which is the cube, right? Source of energy, are human hearts incarnating. Wow, okay? And what he said was, Frank Chester, is what we take with our heart through our lifetime, going out of this reality, so death, is what we then take when we come back in. So we are the heart. When we go out, we go through the heart. When we come back in, we come through the heart. Okay? Now, the difference of what Ascension is bringing, the Ascension energies are now bringing, is we've changed the game. This gateway that's coming through the heart, then we go within, no longer connects to the soul or the soul trap. It connects to your source, where your energy originates from. That is not being manipulated. The soul had been manipulated, not source, because source is out of this reality. The soul is part of this reality, which we call the matrix reality, and some people call the prison world, right? Or prison reality. Okay, so there is a universe or a world within us, and through the heart, there is a pathway that leads to your higher selves, which are higher perspectives of you that exist beyond this reality, all the way up to your source of energy. Every single one of us. How cool is that? But to access this, we need to have our consciousness here, not here. That's the key. Okay? So this is the new pathway for us, leading forward into Ascension. Okay, and it's all here. Okay? When our consciousness up here and not here limits our capabilities to evolve. So what happens with this form? Degenerates. Okay? So what we need to do is we don't need to connect together as one, the human species. Because we'll never have one perception. We all have separate perceptions. And the journey is about journey to true self, to find out who you really are. And it's not out there, sorry. It's in here. It's going through the heart. Okay? When we have a lot of trauma, then we close that off, don't we? It hurts too much. Okay? And we may suppress it for a while, but in the end, it will bite you in the ass in the end. You need to go through here. You need to go through here. This is the pathway. Okay? So I really believe this Chestahedron geometry, which I'm pointing to there, is the geometry of the now, not the pyramid. Okay? Not the flower of life, not the seed of life, but the Chestahedron. You know, as I say, pyramids have been around for thousands of years. They've had their time. And that was time when we were part of this incarnation method of the soul, which was all manipulative by beings like the reptilians and the archons. Why do we want to associate ourselves with that geometry still? Am I saying that geometry is completely, doesn't have its place? No, definitely it still amplifies your intent using it as an energy healer in other ways. But I really feel you can move yourself and evolve yourself forward in such a big step by embracing the geometries of now. And I think the Chestahedron is the geometry of now, because everything about our evolution and our ascension is in the heart and through the heart. We have the physical heart, which bumps at a sinus rhythm, right? Now, that they say it's a pump because they're looking only purely at a physical level. But that's a manifestation of the vortex that's coming through the sacred heart and through that ascension gateway. Okay? And I've said it in other videos that cardiovascular system problems are due to that loss of the geometry of flow, which is the vortex, because that gateway is closed because we're up here and not here, and a lot of other problems too. So, as I say, there's a lot of power in just even sitting under a Chestahedron, and just even being around a Chestahedron, just putting it on the mantelpiece, because it's got consciousness. It will talk to you. It will help you. It's your friend, right? But now all of a sudden we've been incorporating it in this Ascension chamber that I've been creating, where it rotates, and a whole lot of other tools and healing energies facilitating through the chamber. But the centerpiece is the Chestahedron, and it's spinning, vortexing, because the Chestahedron facilitates the heart, and the spinning Chestahedron, which then becomes the bell, facilitates flow, and that's the vortex. And what do we keep hearing about where we get into problems at an energetic level? That we have a blockage or obstruction of flow of energy because we don't have the vortex. Flow is essential. Flow is essential. Flow means evolution. No flow of energy means degeneration. And that then manifests into the physical body. So I think we'll keep you at that. Very interesting information. Frank Chester, I recommend you going on YouTube and watching his videos and him talking about how he came up with the geometry itself, and then how it is associated with a number of things within our reality, the earth itself, the heart, and many others. Mind-blowing, or should I say heart-blowing. Anyway, until next time, or what I'm going to actually leave you with is that Ascension chamber, which I've given a 3 video here on my YouTube channel. Please utilize as much as you can. They're Ascension energies. That's going to allow your energy to flow, okay, and to allow you to stay heart-centered as much as possible. Now, for anybody that is interested in buying that, I'm going to be bringing that to Truly Holistic very soon. I'm just getting some things sorted in regards to that chamber where you can buy all the tools and you can have that in your own home. Pretty cool. Anyway, if you want to comment below, do that, and I'll answer questions for you or anything that you want to know. Until next time, bye.